For today's workout, we are going to need a wall. You're going to stay upright against the wall the whole time. So you don't need a ton of floor space, but maybe grab a patch of wall and take up enough, where you have enough room to reach your arms out to the sides. We're going to begin the workout with your back against the wall. So I'd like you to walk your feet out between a foot to 2 feet, depending on your height, and leave a little space in between your legs. With the feet away from the wall, I want you to lean into the wall so that it's supporting you at both the hips and the ribs. This will give you support, like I just said, but it'll also help bring your awareness into the back of your body and your alignment or posturing as you go through these exercises. Put a tiny bend in your knees to make sure your knees aren't locked, and let's just sense that alignment. So for your pelvis, sit bones are pointing down to the floor, and then the sacrum, the triangle bone at the back of your pelvis, is against the wall. Your lower back naturally has a forward curvature, so that region is going to be a little forward off the wall, but then your ribs and this part of your spine curve backwards, so you should be able to feel the back of the rib cage against the wall. Now, let's bring your hands up behind your head, make another contact point. So I'm going to take a wide grip and angle the elbows forward a little bit. Then press the back of your head very gently into your hands, just enough to sense that connection. And as we begin our breath focus, try to keep your head, ribs, and hips lined up over each other. When you breathe in, take the inhale through your nose and just observe your body expanding as your lungs fill up with the air. Then exhale through your mouth like you would blow out through a straw, so we have a little bit of force and just a steady flow to the breath out. When you breathe in, feel the rib cage expanding into the wall, out to the side, and allow your chest to rise. And then when you exhale, we're going to feel the compression of the ribs helping to blow the air out of your lungs. As you breathe in, visualize the air going all the way down to your feet, all the way up to the crown of your head. So you're just taking up as much space as you can. And then when you exhale, feel the force of everything compressing and drawing back into the midline. Just take another breath or two like that while I tell you what's going to happen next. So now I'm going to start adding a little mobilization to the spine. And first we're going to try to sense the paraspinal muscles, the ones that are deep and running closest to the spine up and down. So you're going to take one more breath in. When you exhale, tip your chin down and start curling forward the upper half of your spine. Stop when you're at your lowest rib. And then when you inhale, you're going to stack your spine up one bone at a time. So we're going to keep the pelvis pinned and just increase the flexion through the top half of the spine like you're making a candy cane shape. And then inhale to roll back up. So that channel of muscles runs up the whole length of your spine and works together via your fascia, your connective tissue. That chain, that line of fascia runs up past the spine around your head to your eyebrows. So when you do that chin to chest curl forward, it helps traction that whole end of the chain. Let's do that one more time, rounding down and then back up. All right, next we're going to do a variation on the saw. So we're going to add rotation to your flexion. You're going to turn to one side as you curl your head and shoulder forward and reach the opposite arm across like a chopping motion. And then come back to center and replace the hand. Let's alternate sides. Rotate and chop that arm down nice and slow and inhale back up. So now you're going to feel the stretch focused more on the opposite side of your low back from where you're twisting towards. This gets your QL, so now we've got a muscle layer that connects the pelvis to the lowest rib out a little wider than the spine. And then back up, one more to the other side, rounding forward, chopping down, and then lifting back up. Now your lats. So from your low back out to your shoulders, like big wings running up your back. We're going to side bend, reaching your top arm overhead as you inhale, breathing here. Exhale to come back up to vertical. Inhale, side stretching, and exhale to lift. As you reach, the anchor now is the crest of the hip pushing down, resisting that side bend, and up, and inhale over. Keep working with that expansive force. Your breath coming in should enhance that stretch on this side even more, almost like you're expanding from the inside of the muscle, pushing out into it. And then back up to the top. All right, let your arms swing back down. We're going to come off of the wall, do a couple more movements, one more mobilization for your upper body. I'm going to have you place your hand about as high as the top of your head. Spread your fingertips wide on the wall and keep your elbow soft. Now you're going to rotate away from the wall, walking from your feet first. So I'm going to keep turning away from the feet, let the hips follow, let the chest follow, and then turn the head away. And hopefully this is bringing you a stretch into your chest. Put your free hand there. Let's do the breathing again. So when you breathe in, now I want you to inhale right into your hand. And again, we can feel the expansiveness of breath increase the stretch even more. Then stay here for an exhale. Sometimes on that phase of breath, you'll find you can get a little release and twist farther. Sorry, that was just a slip in hand. Breathe in, too much moisturizer. And then as you exhale, see if you can let go of the tension through this whole quadrant. One more breath in. And then exhale to find that release. Okay, walk yourself back into the wall. Just switch hands. And then same idea, make sure your elbow's still bent a little bit. You're going to rotate away. All right, so staying in the rotation, opposite hand goes on your chest to bring the attention to that. Then when you breathe in, take that breath in through your nose. Still send it low into your lungs. Let it climb all the way up to your chest. And then hang out for the exhale. See if you have any more potential to rotate as you let go. And again, nice big breath in. Then feel the release of the exhale. Try to blow out the tension. One more time, big breath in. And then a full exhale again. All right, switch hands again. This time, set yourself side facing to the wall. We're going to mobilize your hip, leg at your hip joint. If you are very unstable in your balance on one leg, I want you to get a little closer to the wall. Lean your forearm against it for more support. If you'd like more challenge for your balance, I want you to go farther away from the wall so your arm is straight or almost straight, but keep your hand just a tiny bit forward of your shoulder. Okay, you're going to stand on your inside leg. You're going to take your outside leg into about a 90-degree knee bend. And let's place your outside hand on your hip, but try to pose it so that the hand's kind of pushing down on the crest to become aware of where the top of that hip bone is. Now, no matter how you're holding that wall, I want you to push away from it a little bit so you feel like you're stabilized and activating through the whole side of your body that's closer to the wall. I'm going to draw a circle with my leg and the hip. We're going to go real slow. All right, so you're going to begin by coming into a forward march. You're going to try to keep the leg at that height and open it out to the side. When you can't do that anymore, we're going to start turning your knee down and your foot up as we bring the leg around into extension and then swing it down next to the leg. Now I'm going to go backwards, so I'm going to start extending. Turn the knee out, drawing it up as high as I can so I get to about hip height. Bring it around to the front and lower. By the way, I am still breathing, but don't worry about one breath pattern. Just keep taking slow, deep breaths because this movement should be a little slower than the natural rhythm of breathing that we use for most Pilates exercises. I want to root down into my standing heel. A lot of the effectiveness is, half the effectiveness is you taking your time and really feeling out the size of the circle, letting the knee move without a ton of contribution from hiking the hip. So I'm keeping my hand there to just help the awareness of that. And then I'm going to alternate between attention there and then bringing the attention back into the standing leg and how I'm pushing away from the wall. Let's do one more time each way. So I go up towards hip height, open the leg, rotate knee down, foot up, and swing forward. Then leading, going back, turning out, coming up, around to the front, and then back down. Let's go to the other side. I'll be honest, as a teacher, this is the hardest exercise for me to teach because I have to stay slow too. All right, hand on the wall or forearm on the wall. Find your stability and bracing. Hand on the crest of your hip, and then we're going to take it up into your one leg standing posture. So same thing, we're going to lead with that knee coming up, open it out to the side. I'm going to rotate the knee down and the foot up so I arrive in that extension and then back down. So I talked a lot on the first side about what to expect of the leg and the hip. Obviously, that'll still be true on this side. But now bring your attention back into the active breathing. Breathe however and whenever you want, but just make sure you are. When you breathe in, the expansion can make you feel very stable, like that air is making you buoyant, holding you up. For other people, it's really the exhale phase of breath and the compression you feel from the deep core, from your pelvic floor, from your abs, from your diaphragm, that can give you a sense of stability. Try to resist your torso tipping. It's better to have less range of motion and know it's still the leg in the hip joint and not make up for it by tipping your torso all over the place and around. So this is nice because we're getting mobility in the hip, but by going through this controlled large range of motion, we're also accenting, strengthening all the small muscles that are deep to the hip joint that allow for proper slide and glide of the joint when we do bigger motions like walking and running. Okay, so now we're going to go back to leaning against the wall with your back, just like we did before with your feet out and slightly separated. And we're going to go into a wall squat position. So you're going to bend the knees like you're sitting down in a chair. We still have the wall supporting those major landmarks of your back. The deeper you go, the harder this is going to be on your quadriceps. So those are the primary muscles we're focusing on building endurance there. If you start to get fatigued, because we're going to hang out here for a little bit, just take it up a little bit higher towards straight legs, or even fully to straight legs if you need a break. Okay, so settle into your pose. And the first variation we're going to do are toe raises. Your hands can be on your hips, against the wall, or across your chest. And you're just going to pick up your toes and put your toes down. Now, the quads will feel this from sustaining the position, but the toe lifts, and I only want it to be the toes, not the knuckles, that will stretch out the flexor tendons of your toes, the ones that can tend to feel rigid and tight from being in shoes all day. Let's do that 3 times, more times, and 2, and 1. Okay, just come out of your wall squat for a sec to break it up for the next variation. Now, we're going to do 2 other variations, so you can change the height of your wall squat as you come to settle into it again. Now we're going to go into heel raises. So I suggest you do put your hands on the wall just so you have a little more stability, and you're going to lift both heels and lower both heels. This strengthens your calves, but it's really good at getting the deepest layer of calf muscle. It's called your soleus, if we're taking notes here. That muscle can be the one that's locked in a short position if you sit in a chair all day, especially just in your shoes, sitting at a computer. So you might feel a little wobbly at your ankles just because that muscle has to get used to what it feels like to contract and have eccentric control, which is contraction as the muscle gets longer. Let's do 2 more of these. And then go ahead and push yourself back up again. Okay, last variation, we're going to leave your feet flat, and we're going to do something for your upper body while you hold the wall squat. Come on back down again. This one you'll be there the longest, so if you're getting tired, definitely don't go as deep. Okay, snow angels. You're going to bring your arms up against the wall, making a short wing for a snow angel. Now you want to try to get contact with the wall at the shoulder quadrant, the elbow, the wrist, and the hand. And it can be especially challenging for most people to get the pinky edges, that whole edge of your arm against the wall. Now just take a little time. I'm going to say to work and release. I have to activate muscles in the back of my body to get against the wall, but it's just as important to breathe and take time to let go of tension in the front of the body, because that's really what's pulling you out of the position. Now, when you feel comfortable with the awareness of the back of you again, you're going to slowly draw snow angels. Now, once again, you're moving slower than the pace of your breath, so make sure you're still breathing. And it helps this sense of releasing tension to go back to the basics of Pilates breath. Trying to take that inhale through your nose, allow it to go deep into your lungs, which you'll feel with the ribs expanding in the back. And when you exhale, you want to compress your abdominal muscles so you're creating support against the wall. Every once in a while, pause your snow angel just to check if all your points are still against the wall. Work those pinky fingers. First time in a workout, I think I ever said, work those pinky fingers. And we're going to come down one more time. If you focused really hard on your upper body, hopefully you forgot all about your legs. Come on back up again. Okay, just shake your arms out a little bit. Now, bringing your attention into just a different part of being against the wall. I'm walking my feet in just because I feel like I'm sliding. You don't have to adjust if you feel good. Put your hands back on your hips, but I want at least a finger or two on the front of your hips, the little like kind of knob where the crest falls off. I'd like you to practice hinging forward at your hips, keeping your back straight, compared to earlier we flexed your spine to come off the wall. So in this movement, you're going to tip forward from your hips to come off the wall, and then just return yourself to vertical. I was talking about the position of your sit bones before in our alignment. I'd love you to feel this motion from your sit bones. When I hinge forward and my back stays straight, I slide from like my glute, like soft tissue towards being sit bones against the wall. And then when I come back up, it's like through the soft tissue to my sacrum and the sit bones point to the floor. Okay, so when you tip forward, push your sit bones up to get them on the wall, and then just slide them down the wall and point them to the floor. As you tip forward, you want your chest sticking out, and then rise back up. Okay. If you're new to doing a hinge and you know that you tend to have a flex posture, keep practicing that on both legs. If you want to make it a little more challenging, we're going to do the same movement with one leg in the air. All right, so we're going to balance on the one foot. You're going to take your other knee into a march, and I want you to hold on to your knee with your hands. Now, to help with that sense of staying straight, I'm pushing my knee into my hands. I'm pulling my hand back into the knee, and very slightly I'm pulling my shoulder blades back just enough to feel the muscles that stabilize them, holding my shoulder blades flat to the ribs, sticking my chest out. And now, same thing. I'm going to hinge forward, bringing my heel almost to the wall, and then I'm going to come back up, drawing that knee up into the march. As I tip forward, I'm using that closed chain between the arm and the leg to make sure my upper body comes along and that I keep that flat back. Okay, so as you can tell in this workout, I'm trying to move your awareness around to different parts of your body so we can still get integration of the full body when it feels like we're isolating one part or one movement. We still have an awareness of everything. One more time, and the role of your breath to give you stability as you go through it. Let's switch to the other leg. My downside is I feel like my pants fall off when I do this exercise. Okay. So I'm going to march up the leg, get a little pressure between my hands and my knee. So knee is pushing down, hands are pulling in, blades are pulled back, chest is sticking out, and then I'm going to tip forward, bringing my sit bones to the wall, and then rise up to vertical till it points down. And again, tipping forward, and then back up. If you're having trouble stabilizing, you might want to bring your foot a little closer to the wall or possibly work with a slight bend in your knee. Good. I'm laughing. My form's the worst because I'm trying to look at my form and make eye contact with you, the viewer who's not really there right now. One more time. Tipping forward and then back up. All right, and lower that leg back down. Now, if you walked your feet back in, send them back out again. We're going to go into a slight knee bend. You're going to place both hands against the wall, and I want you to actively push into the wall with your arms. Now you're going to execute a hip roll. I'm going to curl my pelvis off the wall, pushing my hips forward till I'm just at the shoulder blades in the back of my head. And then when I roll backwards, I'm going to go ribs, low back, hips, and return the pelvis to neutral. All right, deeper down if that was too easy. You're going to roll forward, opening the front of the hip joint, and roll back, come back to neutral. Easier will be straight legs. Okay, so you don't have to follow me through all these changes. I just want to show you all the ways so everybody's got something that works for them. 2 more times, curling the hips off, pressing against the wall, and then really wormy roll. Try to feel that wave motion through your body. 1 more time. Hips curl forward and roll back down. Okay. Now, still pressing with your arms, walk your feet back in a little closer. Take one leg into a march, knee about as high as your hip. Now I want you to power this with your arms before your hips. You're going to brace against the wall with your arms and then just push your hips forward. So not so much of a roll, just a hip opening and then back down like when we do a bridge. So we're going to go arms to push the hips forward and then control the return back. 3 more times. Slow. Try to resist doing this with your leg and instead make the back of your arms work. And lower back down. 2 more times on this side. Pressing, pushing your hips out, and then just as slow, find hips against the wall again. 1 more time. Press away and ease it back to the wall. All right, put that foot down. Other leg up into the march. Arms lead, and I'm going to push the hips out. And then take your time coming back into the wall. We can move with breath again now, though. Exhale, compress your abs, push forward. Inhale into your back, control that return. And exhale, press. Keep that knee lifted as you bring the hips back. You have 2 more of these. Exhale. And inhale, return. 1 more time, press forward, and then ease yourself back to the wall. All right, lower that leg down. Let me go this way first. Okay, side face to the wall again. Now, for measuring space, I'm going to bring my hands like this, elbow to the wall. That's about as far away from the wall as you want to be. And then just put your hand on the wall for a second. Now, I'm going to lift up my outside leg and open it out to the side. What I want to create in this is space that I can tilt into the wall and then push myself away from the wall. So you may have to fuss around a little bit with your spacing before you start. But from that march, you can see from the front, I'm like about there with my leg when I begin. All right. So admitting to you that it might take me 1 or 2 to do this just right. Okay. So I've got that leg out. That's what's holding me up is my shin against the wall. Now I'm not holding it with my hands anymore. I'm going to go to this elbows out to the side position. I'm going to side tilt away from the wall as I bring my hip over to the wall. And then I'm going to push with the leg that's against the wall to get back up to vertical. So I'm going to go into that side hinge, tap my hip against the wall, and then push away to vertical. Now, with the arms like this, if you don't feel strong enough to do this, bring your inside elbow point against the wall and use that as well to push back up. 2 more times, tipping, and then push from the shin to lift. 1 more, hinging over, and then rising back up. Whew. It's like, was 5 reps enough? Yes, I think it was. Okay. Same thing, measuring, getting that inside leg up, and then putting it out to the side. All right, now I can let go of the wall if you want to. And now I'm going to tip. So I take that airplane wing tip, and then I'm going to push away with the leg to come back up. Hinging over, dipping into the wall, and then pressing back up. And over, and push to lift. 2 more times, giving into it. Try to put your weight in your heel as you rise back up. Last one, hinging over and pushing back up. All right, lower that leg down. Whew, shake them out a little bit. All right. Similar idea, hinging in and out, but now we're going to use your arm. So I'm going to have both feet down, forearm against the wall, set just a little forward of the shoulder, reaching out to the side. Now I'm going to lean into the wall, letting my elbow come forward of me. The shoulder's going to sink into the wall, and I'm going to push away from the arm. So now from the front, it's going to look like that. So I'm going to give in. When you get that angle, that's how far the arm's going to stay forward of you. So you can see from the side, I kind of fall backwards and into the wall. And when I come away from it, I come forward again towards the front of my foot, more towards the heel as I come back, and then away. 2 more times like this. So this is great to strengthen your deltoids, your core, and the whole like side stabilization system again. 1 more time. Hinging in and pushing away. All right, so the same thing on the other side. So the arms forward of you when you're leaning into the wall, more out to the side when you're standing. All right, so we're going to give in to the wall, tilting into it, head goes too, and then push away and bring your weight back over your feet. And again, falling in, elbow comes forward of the shoulder, and then push away. So now that you're familiar with what this movement is, it's like your whole body is moving around this fixed arm. But if you switch the lens, we're moving at your shoulder, doing horizontal abduction and adduction. So that's why it targets your deltoids. And this lets you experience just a hinging, like the hinge of a door, a hinging motion at your shoulder, while teaching the muscles around your shoulder blade to stabilize the blade against your ribs. And that's a skill that's really important in a lot of Pilates exercises. And then back up again. All right, so now the good old wall push-up. I'm going to have you face the wall. Those of you that do floor push-ups, I know these seem easy, but just go with it, okay? If you are new to wall push-ups, I want you to get close to the wall. If you're more seasoned at this, if you go back a little bit and work on an incline, it puts a little more load into your arms. So let's begin with that. You can put a tiny bit of space between your feet. Place your hands on the wall somewhere between chest height to chin height, and just explore the idea of a wall push-up. That you're maintaining a straight line from your feet to your head, and as you bend and straighten your elbows, you're tipping into the wall and pushing away. If you look down at my feet, my heels are lifting to let me fall forward. Now, if that feels okay and you're already bored, no, I'm not offended, we're going to make it bounce. You're going to push yourself off the wall and then catch yourself. And I want you to be nice and gentle at this. Try to evoke the fun and the playfulness you would feel if you were a kid jumping on a trampoline. Every time I land, I'm slightly changing the position of my hands so that my body has to think through the softness of catching and how much force to put through the arms when you jump. Okay, and again, if you're familiar with these, if you've done it before, you can get bolder and really start to add majorly different angles of the arms. So your body has to do a little side bending or a little tractioning to reach and catch. And let's do 4 and 3, 2, and 1. All right. Last but not least, we're going to go into a hinged forward position, and we're going to do one more exercise to target and strengthen your glutes. So I'm going to have you walk your hands down the wall, and you're going to step back so that you can get your weight of your hips over your heels and get your upper body pretty close to parallel to the floor. The flexibility of your hamstrings will determine how low you get, but it doesn't have to be any lower than the height of your hips. Now, first, just pushing away from the wall and tipping your sit bones up should give you a stretch to the back of the leg. But what I'm hoping is, in addition to just getting that stretch, which you'll create on one leg, we can do some strengthening work for the deep muscles in your hips at the same time. So once you get that hinge forward, brace away from the wall and reach one of your legs out at hip height. Don't worry about perfection right now because I'm not going to keep it there anyway. All right, so once you've straightened it with a gentle point to your toe, your movement will be to keep the bracing with the arms, the standing hamstring stretch, and we're just going to turn your leg in the air, rotating your knee down and then turning your toes out. I'm hoping from this angle you can see that I'm spiraling the leg within the hip joint, but also letting the pelvis follow just a little bit, squaring off towards the floor and then slightly rotating to follow that leg. 2 more times to parallel, to turn out, last one, and turn out. Okay, So I'm going to step that one down, get the weight pushed back again. So I've got that brace through the arms. Other leg goes to hip height. And then when you feel that long energy, feet, hands to feet, you're going to start to rotate, turning out and then back down, laterally and then parallel. Just imagine your peg leg pirate and you're screwing that leg in and out. Check your standing foot. Make sure your weight's over your heels. Push yourself back to keep that. 3 and 2. One more time. All right, step that leg down. I know I said that was the last exercise. I mean, I mostly mean that, but off the wall, just stand in your normal stance. Just swing those arms a couple times up and down. I forgot what it was going to feel like to brace at the end. I don't want you to feel tense like that. 2 more times, big up overhead. And last one. All right, how's your workout for today? Have a great one. I'll see you soon.